think a lot of people our age sort of had this idea that nothing's ever going to change. We're kind of doomed to have this horrible future where everything's dying. But I think that having some sort of sense of things are happening for the environment and for climate change would, I think, really inspire a lot of people of our generation.
Social Action Group is a club within Parkside that runs every Wednesday, and we focus on making the school a better place and trying to help the environment.
So far as Social Action Group, we've held the week conference when many different schools came over to Parkside and we discussed ways to make our schools greener.
We had 4 different kind of charitable organisations come in, and they each did workshops about how we can make schools more sustainable.
And we had some guest speakers such as Tom Heap from the BBC.
We had some political parties, but we also had some direct action groups. We had 6 sessions on how to make change happen.
Many students were able to give their own opinions about the environment and what we can do in the future about it.
At the end of that conference, each school made pledges. We're going to improve recycling, we're going to campaign for new heat pumps or something like that. At the next conference, next October, all the schools are going to come back together and see how much progress they've made. So we're hoping that over the next few years we can really build up a strong alliance across secondary schools.
I think the conference was successful for 2 main reasons. Firstly, the incredible hard work of everyone involved, my brother Hugo, Mr. Cowley, and everyone in the Social Action Group and Green Council. And then secondly, the pure enthusiasm that everybody had on the day. Everyone worked so hard, everyone was so excited.
I chose to make an assembly on food and the environment because the school pledged to reduce the negative impacts of our food, and this included reducing meat consumption. I made a survey with some people from our social action group. We had lots of people who wanted to see less meat in the canteen, which was quite promising. Some of the biggest barriers to people eating more vegetarian and vegan food is that they think it doesn't taste good. So we've brought in meat-free Mondays and we've brought in food waste bins in the canteen. If we reduce food waste, we can reduce our impact on the environment.
This was an installation at the Cedric Museum in Cambridge, which was made by this group of people to raise awareness for climate change. We made a lot of origami butterflies like this.
We chose the symbol of butterflies because butterflies are very delicate, and if there's any small change in the climate, then they find it very difficult to survive.
We also generally make the butterflies out of recycled paper, so that also makes it better for the environment. At the extinction events throughout the museum, instead of the brightly coloured butterflies, the butterflies were torn and black and bloody.
When people came to visit the museum leading up to the exhibition, there was a table where they could make their butterflies and write little messages on them, and
So their butterflies are also part of the exhibition.
I think it was quite popular with people because it had quite a powerful message.
Being part of social actually makes me feel like I have a voice and I can make change.
You're like part of something bigger and part of something special, and you also have links to the senior leadership team, which means that you can make larger changes happen within the school community.
I love seeing how this has become a garden. It was essentially a building site.
There was no vegetation whatsoever, and we pretty much transformed it.
It took us about 2 weeks to dig the pond during lunch times.
For the bottom we used some carpets we dug up, and then we used some liner over the top.
The carpets would have probably just gone to landfill.
The reason the pond is important is because it increases the overall biodiversity of the entire garden.
We've seen some frogs around here since we've put it in, and there's some pond skaters in it right now, and we've got our duck over there.
Wildflower areas are important because they will give spaces for rodents, insects and birds to hide, and bees and wasps to pollinate with different types of flowers.
Some good types of plants for the wildlife area could be some daisies,
poppies, different types of grass. Really what you don't find in a typical garden you will find in a meadow. Each day you have to water each plant manually.
Oh, my knees.
A dead hedge is pretty much an insect house, except for it's much larger.
A safe ecosystem for some insects really helps some of the plants pollinate. The techniques that you use for it are finding sticks that are around your garden and weaving them into sticks that you already have there.
To keep the slacks up, we normally get a hammer or sledgehammer and we just hit them in. We built it during their hibernation season, but we're expecting to see a lot more insects in here next year.
We wanted to have a sensory garden area just because it would help with the whole aim of having the garden be a relaxing area. We have lamb's ear, which is really fluffy, so it's very nice to run your hands against it. This one also has some nice, it's very cool feeling your hand across it. And also quite a few of them smell like the wallflowers and the poppies and the rose.
It's just like in the name, Refresh Garden. I just feel really at peace.
It's just very nice to just relax and unwind if you've had a bit of an intense day at school, really.
Although it's only a small garden, if all the schools around the world did it, it would help climate change a lot.
The original name of our wildlife area was called Little Paradise Grove and Garden. We have a hedgehog hotel over there, and we have a hibernaculum over here,
Which is a place for amphibians such as frogs and newts to hibernate over the winter.
Some animals need to live in a pond as part of their life cycle. A few examples are frogs, newts, and dragonflies. I have seen insects, bugs, a few birds, and lots of other animals. We are also planning to add a compost heap and more bat boxes.
I've heard common pipistrelle bats using a bat detector, and I've seen one fly by these trees.
If bats are present in good numbers, it means healthy and different habitats are present.
A healthy ecosystem will be more resistant to the bad effects of climate change. This bat box is made out of recycled plastic and concrete. This one is slightly bigger and it can fit more than one bat. This one has 2 crevices, so you can fit many in there.
Bat boxes need to be airtight because bats don't like drafts. The entrance to the bat box should be about 1.5 to 2 centimeters big, otherwise birds could get in and create a nest.
We'll put the bat boxes about 5 meters up on a tree. We have taken stems from hawthorn, blackthorn and honeysuckle.
Bats are attracted to moths, and moth caterpillars are attracted to these plants.
Can you keep this still for me while I cut?
Okay. At the bottom, you cut it straight, and at the top, you cut it diagonally so that you can tell the top from the bottom. Then you plant it in the pots, and then you force it to grow roots.
The cuttings will go in the greenhouse over winter. We will plant them next year.
We noticed how much plastic was building up in our school and how much of that was going to landfill. So it's simply to take a plastic bottle and then you're going to fill it with any sort of plastic that you know can't be recycled, anything single use. So quite often it'll be crisp packets, sweet wrappers, things like that. You really have to kind of get into it with the wooden spoon and really shove it in so it gets really nice and sturdy. We use special binding material, much lower carbon than cement, binding them together to create raised beds. We're going to hopefully try and create a table. So we've got our entire school involved. A lot of students said that it showed them how much plastic was actually in their house, how their families weren't really thinking about it. So I think it definitely changed a mindset in that way.
We run an eco-assembly on fair trade and how it makes sure that everyone who helps make the product is paid equally.
If we're talking about how much cocoa farmers are getting paid, we might put up a graph that demonstrates that.
You have to get your statistics right because there are 300 children looking at you.
We said that you could win a fair trade chocolate bar if you went around your house and whoever took the most pictures of fair trade products would then win the chocolate bar.
People did ask us follow-up questions about the assembly.
I think it helps that there's children telling you that, hey, the environment's going down because of this. Subconsciously, they're thinking, hey, a child knows this, so I should do the same.
I'm trying to do something which just made me feel a bit better, and that'll obviously help me be more eco-friendly like in my life, which I definitely feel good about.
Natasha did an amazing job of every week looking at the menu for the next week in the dining hall and figuring out approximately the carbon footprint of each dish and like colour coding them on a menu.
It used to be that you'd have like 3 which were red, really bad carbon emissions, and then 1 veggie option that was green or yellow, but now there's much more eco-friendly options. I think it's really cool to see that we've made a change. It's something we've done that's had an impact.
Composting is really important because it's the cycle of life, and it's how you're reusing your old food waste and then being able to put that back into the soil to grow more food.
We take the food waste from the food tech department and we put it into the compost bin.
It takes about 6 months for it to be ready.
We have some beds in one of the social areas which we're growing things on at the moment.
Some carrots and some spinach. They've turned out really, really well. This year we've gained quite a few members of the eco team, which means we can be doing separate projects at one time.
It helps us feel like we're helping with climate change, and we get to also experience what it's like to grow our own food.
I went to speak on a panel at an education conference with a representative from the UN, all about environmental education in schools, what's being done, what should be done, and why.
I wrote an article about it for our local newspaper and I took some photos. I think it was really refreshing for people to hear like a younger person's perspectives, because I guess we're the ones that are going to be in charge in a few years.
Our school was invited to the BET conference because we do get environmental lessons
on like fast fashion or food consumption or travel.
At the end of the panel I was given the opportunity to speak. My main points were, hope is really important, but it's only available through action. We need to be making changes. If people believe they can make a difference, that's when they'll get involved, that's when they'll care. We need the recycling, we need the sort of smaller scale, and I think that's really important, but at this point we need the government to be doing everything they can. It has to be wide scale change and it has to be now.